Stuff on Monty first. This is 15. Okay, 15. I'll let you know. Please remind me, because I will forget. But yeah, I'll come for sure.
Struthers City Council, Wednesday, May 24th, 2023, 7 p.m. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Valley?
Here.
Mr. Bayes?
Here.
Mr. Beagley?
Here.
Mr. Burnside?
Here.
Mr. Carselli?
Here.
Ms. Greenwood? Here. Ms. Pingley? Here. President Patrick?
Here, please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Need a motion to dispense the reading of the minutes of the first regular meeting, May 10th, 2023, except prepared by the clerk.
Make a motion?
Second.
Ron seconds that.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Ms. Pingley? Yes.
Okay, thank you. Communications, there's one piece of communications.
Number one, letter received on April 27, 2023 from Linda Martini of Westerville, Ohio regarding grass cutting charges on property located at 535 West Wilson Street, Struthers, Ohio 44471.
Okay, council, you heard the reading of communication. Need a motion to receive and file. Brady makes a motion. Dallas seconds that.
Second.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Ms. Pingley? Yes.
Okay, mayor's report. The mayor's not here, so there's no report at this time. Report standing committees.
Finance and Legislation Committee meeting for June 7th at 6 o'clock.
Any other committees? Okay, since there's no legislation, we'll go directly in unfinished business. New business. Report of our law director, John talked a little bit in caucus. The auditor's not here. Report of our safety director, Bob.
No report this evening.
Questions for our safety director? Okay, we're going to do a little bit, switch the last half of this up. We have first addresses the council. We are going to have Anne Marie DeSantis from Mahoney County Commissioners Board come up and talk. So, Anne Marie, come on up.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Anna DeSantis. I work for the Board of Mahoning County Commissioners in their Special Projects Office. And part of my responsibility is the Community Development Block Grant. With that award from the state, we are also responsible for appointing a Fair Housing Coordinator. I've been the Fair Housing Coordinator for the county since 2014. It is an administrative role, so I brought tonight some details on the complaint process that I'll submit to the clerk for her to have available if residents may come in with a complaint or not know where to go. And I would help them facilitate a complaint based on the Civil Rights Act of 1968. We are in the 55th year this year. And the Civil Rights Act was passed to specifically for housing, the sale and rental of housing, financing, homeowners insurance, and also rental properties must abide by the Fair Housing Rules or Fair Housing Act. Some of the activities that are unallowable under the Fair Housing Act would be to deny housing is available based on the protected classes. It can be either written in a notice of a preferred applicant, or it can be verbal just to the person intending to either purchase or rent a property. And if they feel that they've been denied housing based on the protected classes, then they could call me, file a complaint. I would help them file that with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission. If it's a landlord-tenant issue, I usually refer them to Mahoning Valley Dispute Resolution, which is operated through 211, which is like a mediator for individuals that are having difficulty coming to equal ground with their landlord. The United States Office of HUD, Housing and Urban Development, estimates that there's 2 million violations of this act throughout the year, but only 2% actually get filed because people do not know what is protected. They understand the classes are protected, but they may not know that they're being discriminated against when they're denied use of specific facilities that may come with a rental unit, or provided a different rate, or so I kind of forgot my note cards, but they're, if they're refused to rent or sale of a housing, provided different terms to the agreement, and if they feel that they've been discriminated against, they should try to document who they talk to, who the claim is against. If they have any witnesses, that is a good thing to have, obviously. I brought these pamphlets that explain the protected classes, which are race, color, religion, national origin, physical or mental disability, and familial status. Just one last thing that I'll leave on a note. Of those 2% of the complaints that are filed with Housing and Urban Development, we have had 8. Like last year, I have to record, we had a total of 8, and that's outside the city of Youngstown. I'm not responsible for the city of Youngstown, just Struthers, Camel, and the unincorporated areas of Mahoning County. But the primary discriminatory act of 2022, according to the National Housing Alliance, was a landlord or homeowner's denial to make reasonable accommodations to a person with disabilities. So we just want to make sure that people have a voice, and if they feel they've been discriminated against, they can call my office. The number is on the back here. I have instructions on what that would entail if the person's hesitant to call. And I'll leave these with the clerk, and she could pass them out to employees or public if she sees fit. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Megan? Thank you.
Okay, at this time, anyone wishing to address council, come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and ask you to make your statement for 3 minutes. If you need more than that, you can make an appointment with the council.
I don't think I'll need more, but I have a few other people that will be speaking too. I'm Joanne D'Amico Kalbaski, and I'm from the 2nd Ward and a proud resident of Struthers. I'm here tonight because I'm very concerned about something that has been an ongoing problem since I've lived on Judith Lane. But I want to say this before I even get started. Back to Eleanor Burris, Jimmy Cabuno, Carol, I can't even, Ron. They have always been there and answered my questions. There hasn't been one time that I haven't called Ron Carcelli and he didn't show up at my house. And I know he's done that. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank all of you, and personally, for some of the progress that is being made in Struthers. And I wish Mayor Miller was here because I wanted her to hear me speak tonight. Okay, first of all, I want to say this. I want to hear a few questions maybe to me or comments I just am concerned because citizens in this city are not being held accountable for things that you have put on the books as laws. And I'm going to give you a few examples. I have lived where I lived for 45 years. My creek, I used to be able to step over it to my uncle's backyard. It has since taken away our property. We have lost things. We have shot rats, brought them down to City Hall. We have now my property is properly taken care of. What I'm concerned about is we are going from progressing to regressing in our neighborhoods. It's okay. You could build all the new things downtown. You could build the dog park, argue about the football leagues. I'm all for these things, but those are not the most important things. Okay? They are not. And if you think they are, you're not representing my Struthers. You are not. And I will tell those people. And I'm sick of them putting things on Facebook and slamming people. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay? Secondly, progressing in a lot of ways, regressing in too many. The health, the well-being of our citizens. And I want all of you, if you can, I'll make coffee and I'll bake some cookies. Do a field trip on Judith Lane. If you ride up there tonight after this meeting, you'll see cars parked on both sides of the road, grass high, garbage in the creek, fence across there that isn't supposed to be there. Now, Billy Minchin has been up. I was hoping he would be here. He wanted to set things straight with me and my husband, and my husband's not here tonight, and I'm missing my grandchildren's concert because I felt it more important to be here. I think that you guys need to do a field trip around Struthers. Ron does. I can't speak for the rest of the councilmen. I haven't heard any real complaints. But it comes back to you. He can't do it. I can't do it. Where's these grants? Or what are we getting grants for? I'd like to help. Write grants. I'm an educator, 48 years of teaching. I can do things. I can help. But the councilmen in all your council wards, why can't you have meetings?
Can
Meetings.
I ask you to wrap up your,
Okay.
your final comments?
All right. I'm just going to say we need to be more, love more, and expect more. We are not expecting enough from our citizens. We are not fining when we're supposed to. Last night, a fire truck, an ambulance, and a police car rode up my street. He couldn't get through because there was cars parked on both sides. My neighbor, I want you to come to my house, 495 Judith Lane, look at my backyard, what we got to look at every day. And if I catch a rat, my husband's going to shoot it and bring it down here. Thank you very much.
One question.
Ron.
Joanne. 471 Judith Lane.
Yes.
Has the grass been cut and everything cleaned up
It-
in the backyard?
It was supposed to be done by Friday. It has not. The front yard is done, the backyard is partially, but he can't finish the rest because he has garbage back there.
So all the junk.
And a fire, 9 feet tall. I got calls from my neighbors, 10:30.
Right.
I had to close my windows, okay? The fireman came. He didn't cite him, though. And only they've been to that house so many times, right, Ron?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to pass the buck back to you and ask you for help. I'm really tired of it. And if I have to, my next steps is social media. And I know people, like a lot of you do too. Yeah.
Can I address you, John?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so two things. You're 100% right. Ron always is there when you call.
Always.
Even when you don't want him to be, he ends up showing up. And he's
Oh,
there.
rollers in my hair, getting ready for
But
the wedding, yeah.
You're 100% right on with everything you said. However, as far as council goes, our power is putting that legislation in effect. Once it becomes
But if you're not,
enforcement, that is administration.
if you're
So-
not enforcing, if you're firemen and,
But I want you to understand though, council isn't who enforces it.
but you're all for the city.
We
We
are
don't
all for
have
the
the
city.
power to
We don't have the governmental power to enforce it whatsoever. Ours stops at creating the law.
Legislation.
That is
I
it.
get it, executive and
But
judicial, I
you are
get it.
1,000%
Yeah.
correct in everything that you
Well,
said.
how can we correct
absolutely.
that? We're working
We-
together.
Ever since I've been on council, the biggest gripe is always the enforcement side of it.
Well,
We're
then-
just as frustrated as you are on
No,
every
no,
level.
you're not. I mean, I
Yeah,
beg to
we
differ
really-
with you.
we-
I
This has been
just,
going on for years the same way.
too long,
And
too long.
Yeah, do we want people fined? Absolutely. That's why the legislation is in place. Do they always get fined? No. But we're not the ones who can
If it's
control that.
if it's an ordinance and it's on a laws, oh, when they sell a house in Struthers, why don't they give the realtor the rules? My poor neighbor you talked to didn't know that they weren't allowed to park their cars in the front yard and double park in the street. They didn't know that. So why? I mean, I'm in Struthers, I know that, but these people that aren't Struthersites, as I could say, you know, they're implants, I tease them, you know. But, I'll tell you what, be lucky that it's me and not my husband,
Well, the
unfortunately. He's-
landlords and people that rent out houses are supposed to register with us, and they are astute
This is
to
not rental.
all the
This-
laws.
This
These
is not a
are
rental.
These three houses are not rental.
Okay.
They are homeowned.
I honestly, I share your frustration. I just want to make sure that you're not putting it on the people who don't have control over it, which,
No, I'm putting it on the whole city, legislation here. I'm sorry, I am. I'm a teacher. I'm responsible for my class, and carrying out my rules. But do I ignore the rest of the kids who are breaking laws in the school? No.
right, but I guess my point is that we don't have any power over.
Can you go to
We-
him and tell him? Can you go to
We
him?
direct the problem to the people that have the power to do the.
Like this.
And then it's in their
Yeah.
hands.
That's our job. Our job is to get your complaint to the administration.
Okay, well, what if it's the same complaint over and over and over again, and they're fining them, and it's not doing any good?
Well, that doesn't mean that we can then step in and correct it. We don't have the power to do that.
Wait a minute.
So then,
You,
I'm sorry, Joanne.
you
Go
are
ahead.
elected officials, representing all of us.
Sure.
He's my representative.
Right.
But my God, I think of you guys as,
Well, I'm your representative too, so is Jimmy and so is
Yeah.
Megan, 'cause
Right.
we're the whole city.
yeah, and the
So-
safety service director, and, what's the other?
But
what's-
those are two different bodies of government, when you say the
I
safety
understand.
service director and council. And council doesn't have any enforcement powers whatsoever, no matter if they break the law
So in
50.
other words, if we
Hey,
come to
guys.
you with a problem, it ain't gonna be solved.
Ooh.
Because you can't get together and
We
talk.
can't personally solve it, no.
Hold on.
Wow.
Well, it's not about talking, it's about us not having
Yeah.
actual authority to do so.
Dallas. Ron, hold up your phone.
Right here it is.
Yeah. This is what we do, or council does, when they get a complaint, they fill it out like Ron has, and that's our means of communicating a situation to the administrator. It's up to them, whether it's a safety director, code enforcement, or the mayor, to enforce or rectify or carry one step forward. That's the most that we can do, is fill that form out,
So,
put them on notice, written paper trail, there's a problem, look.
so a guy made a 9-foot fire, boxes, shrubs in my backyard. She called me, she was scared to death.
Did you call the police?
We did. They said call the fire department, so we called the fire department. The fire department came.
They should have been cited by the
He
police.
was not cited.
I mean, I'm just being honest,
But
but
it was
that's,
close to my house. My eyes, I couldn't, I'm telling you, you guys,
Sometimes people don't know the laws.
President Patrick, may I address the,
Hold on, yes, Mr. Benson.
I can't.
okay,
Hold on.
Joanne,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
they are absolutely correct. They write the legislations. It is my responsibility to enforce the legislation. Okay? If you want to set up an appointment with me in the morning, I'd be happy to go over and discuss to you our process. For yours is not the only one. We are aware of your problem up there. And if you want to have an appointment with me in the morning, I'll be happy to discuss the process that we go through with the over hundreds of property code violations in the city.
But don't you think everybody in the city needs to know this? We know about the dog park, we know about the football field. It was
I understand.
all
I
news.
can't discuss that property right now because I don't have any information in front of me.
What-
Why don't
If-
you do that? Why don't you make an appointment with Bob, and you can do one-on-one?
But he isn't the only one that needs to hear it.
Well, that's where you started.
Well,
can you-
you'll get better answers if you would call the administration for enforcement purposes. Ronnie is a very helpful person, and he does bring a lot to our attention. But you can also call the mayor's office and get me, and we can talk you through it a little bit better than he is, because he is the legislative branch, so he doesn't have the enforcement ability that I do. So you're better off talking to me. So call me, I'll set up an appointment with you first thing in the morning, and we will go over everything we're doing with that property, including probably fines. If fines don't work, we actually bring them into court.
Joanne, didn't you say you called the mayor's office and turned that complaints in?
And,
Okay.
and the complaint, I don't know to what extent we're at right now with that complaint, but like you said, Mr. Minchin, our code enforcement officer, has been up there. So how far he has progressed, I don't know offhand, but I know it has been addressed, okay? And if you come in the morning, I can tell you where we're at in the stage of addressing those properties. There is a process through law that we have to follow. We can't just, go in and,
I understand, and I'm very patient.
Yes.
I really am.
Why don't you make an appointment with Bob?
All of us?
whatever you want.
Let them talk to David.
My morning tomorrow is free. If you want to come down in the morning, I'll be happy to discuss this with you.
All right,
Okay.
before I leave.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Is there anyone else wants to address council? Come on, Georgie. Name and address, please, even though we know who you are.
George Gligor, 711 A Street. I also want to thank everybody for the great job they do. And my concern is I got up last week and I looked in that creek and there was white stuff all over the rocks and everything. And I called up Ron. I said, hey, Ron, you got to come over there. And somebody's dumping some stuff upstream from somewhere. And my house gets flooded down there, and everybody knows that. And it takes my wife and I a whole day to get everything back to normal. We have everything up off the ground because we learned our lesson. I thought if I built that big garage, that would alleviate the problem, but it didn't. It helps, but it's still there. Now, if we would have got a big rain and all that I told Ron, hey, when I bought the house, I knew it got flooded. So I know that, but if there's going to be stuff in there that ain't really supposed to be in there, that's all going to end up in my basement. And I don't think that's fair to me. So whoever dumped that stuff shouldn't have dumped that stuff.
Was it paper products or?
No, it was like a paint or Michelle was going to go down there and see. I said, hey, don't touch that. You don't know what that stuff is, man. So,
White product.
yeah, 'cause Ron came and looked, and I'm behind him. Every time I call Ron,
Again,
yeah,
Mr. Gilligor,
yeah.
you would have been better off calling the administration on that issue.
Okay.
I could set up the wastewater treatment plant, do some testing and stuff.
Right.
Councilmen are very good, they're very helpful.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, always feel free to call.
I
the council.
understand. Yeah.
But if you call the administration, you'll be better off, you'll get quicker results. I could have sent somebody up to have that tested.
Yeah, well, there was a manhole popped up on A Street. I called Frankie DeMarco right away. He had two people up there putting one of them rings around the manhole. So, I thought I don't really know who's in charge of that creek. And where does that creek end and where does my property begin?
Well, you should have property, pegs, wherever your property ends.
Yeah, I looked for them.
If the
I
creek
can't
goes through
find
your property,
nothing.
It's your responsibility to maintain that creek.
Okay, so then if I want to, I'm allowed to widen that creek on my property if I want to, because
Well-
I really don't like my house getting flooded, to be honest with you.
I
And if I
get
gotta pay to get it done, I will.
All right, George.
We're in a process, because we don't want to throw bad money, or good money onto a bad project.
Right.
So we did a study, phase one study of the flooding for not only, Judith Lane, but for everything west of Fifth Street.
Yes, sir.
And we're on phase two of that study right now.
Okay,
Once we are done with the studies and we
Oh.
know how to properly spend the money,
okay.
we're going to address the flooding issues
At A Street and Judith Lane. Okay.
okay?
Again, I want to thank everybody for the wonderful job they do. I'm proud to be a member of the Struthers community. And I don't care when Ron shows up at my house, because I always look good.
Thanks, George.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to address council? Name and
Tony Karas, and I'm at 474 Judith Lane. I've been there 35 years. Same issue, the creek. I don't live on the side of the creek, but my son does. He bought the house directly across the street from me. I happen to have my grandchildren, and we just were walking the creek, and I honestly thought I was in somewhere else. It's that bad. It looks like the ghetto back there. And then as soon as I got out of there and went to my street, I felt like I was where I should be on Judith Lane. If you look behind me where Joanne's at, it doesn't look like Judith Lane. It's bad. And I have a question. Are they allowed to put their fence over the creek?
You'd have to ask.
Do you know?
Yes.
You do know?
Well, if, let's say on both sides of that creek, no, they cannot obstruct the flow of the water.
Because they had problems, and the mess that happened 2 years ago is still laying in the creek there, and it's a mess. My son bought that house, and he moved his fence up to on the other side because of that reason, because he was just getting, it was not worth it. But the creek is our main concern. I just, I sit on my porch, and I keep my house nice, and I got to look at the three houses. Joanne's house is there, and then three houses, then my son's house, then Penman and George, all nice. These people parking on their front lawns, their garage is open, the trash is just falling out of it. Their front porch looks like Beverly Hillbillies. It's concerning to me because I don't want the property value of my property to go down. And I pay my taxes regularly.
That's the 471 Judith Lane.
47, yes. And then the one next to him and the one after that. The three in a row. So thank you. If you could just take a walk and look over there, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council?
Hi, everybody. I'm Pam McCauley Rogers. I was born in Struthers. My ancestors are all from Struthers, and I'm proud to be back in Struthers after probably 50 years. I ended up buying my parents' home. They're both deceased. I live behind Joanne. I'm on Spring Street, so I overlook the creek. And people, sometimes I think it's ignorance that they don't know laws. They think this is their trash can here, and they need to be notified that you cannot throw twigs, you can't throw big branches, because what you're going to get is flooding. And we get flooding on Spring Street because the sewers do not take all the water. But I hope that somehow we can get information to people, especially when they move into the area. I have a person who moved 2 houses up, and he started burning a fire every night. And I'm like, is he roasting marshmallows? I don't think so, because I could see it above the fence. And I have the same problem with the gentleman here. He ripped out all his bushes, he let them sit for 2 weeks, and then he decided he's going to burn them. And the fire, believe me, was 8 to 10 feet high under a maple tree. And then we have 2 dead trees on just a few feet away from where he's burning. So it is a concern. I live there, and I try to be as neat as I can because I appreciate the house my parents lived in and bought new on Spring Street in 1956. So I want to keep our community nice. I love Struthers. I love the sense of community, the people that live here. But it's hard to appreciate what you had, and now you see what you have, and people don't have the same appreciation that we do, who grew up here and love the city. So I'm just looking for enforcement. Maybe this gentleman doesn't know that you're not allowed to have an 8-foot fire in your backyard. He has bed frames in his backyard. Anything that he cannot store in his house comes out, and it stays there for the winter. So you look at like things that should be in your house, in your basement, but I think they rent the basement so there's no room for overflow. The garage door is always open, the man door, because things are flowing out of there. But anyways, thank you for your help. I appreciate everything that you do. I want to keep Struthers nice, and I want it to be a nice place for people to grow up. Like I went to Struthers High School, class of '66, Wildcat forever. So, so thank you very much
Thank you.
for anything you do.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to come forward?
Hi, Chad Hampson, 505 Judith Lane. I can't echo enough as to how great of a city this is. Seriously, I've been, I think, a resident, 13 years now? I live right beside Joanne. Fantastic town. For a country kid not to ever want to leave a city is a testimony to the community, truly. It's fantastic. I actually bought a house that we're looking to bring our in-laws, my wife's mom and dad, down. Fantastic community, really is. But I got to echo with what Joanne has to say, and I understand. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm going to come with Joanne. I'll meet with you. Not to belabor the dead issue here, but it's not a dead issue. It truly is a problem. The problem truly is they've been told, they've been served, but it's still, the message is not sinking in. So we have to do something about it. The 3 houses that my neighbors have talked about, it's true. It's a great street. It's quiet. It's awesome. But it's really has gone downhill. I'd say about in the last 2 years. And I understand people. Times are tough. Got it. But we can still keep our property clean. And I can tell you something. I would definitely offer my service to keep fit. Most certainly would be willing to help people out. All they have to do is ask. And I most certainly will help. I think Joanne would definitely tell you. I got probably the biggest heart you'll ever meet, and I very rarely tell any of the neighbors that do need a hand, ever tell them no. So maybe it is, like Pam said, might be a lack of understanding, or maybe the expectation. And as a community leaders, I think the point was, we need to just keep that expectation firm, because it is a great community, and you don't want to see it dwindle. But seriously, fantastic. Ron, I haven't met you. I see you all over at Joanne's a lot. I'm hoping maybe she's nice to you, maybe giving you cookies. But fantastic community, and I absolutely love this town. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to come forward?
Hello, my name is Mike Drabison. Ron, I don't know you. Everything you've done for me is great. Thank you. I was here at the last meeting you guys had. I didn't see it. You interviewed Nick Dorito. Something I said there, one of you guys, ladies, asked him that if the city of Struthers is going to pay $1,000 to shoot each deer at Yellow Creek. Somebody asked that question. It was told to me. Nick's answer was no. He's 100% correct. City of Struthers isn't paying anything as a city of Struthers. I'm from Youngstown. Mahoney County, you're Struthers, Mahoney County. Mahoney County taxes are going to pay for what the park's going to do. It's nothing coming out of your coffers that you already have. Where I got the $1,000 from, a town up by Cleveland, Beechwood, paid a guy, shot 70 or 60 deer, was $60,000. Okay, I went to Cheney. 60 divided into 60,000 is $1,000, right? Another town, East Euclid, paid $60,000 for 70 deer, and they wanted another $20,000 to shoot another 10,000 deer. Those were the latest stats that I got when I looked up the numbers. Since Nick was down here with you people, we had a meeting, and I called him out. What the hell are we paying? What's the park going to pay for the shooters, the sharpshooters, which Yellow Creek and Mill Creek Park are going to pay for? And hell, they gave us an answer. $50,000 to shoot 20 deer in Yellow Creek, 50 to 100 deer from Route 224 to the Youngstown line. City of Youngstown is not going to let them shoot this year. They're not allowed on our property. So that's around, what, 5,000 a deer, or 500 a deer. I was surprised when they actually told us. We don't get information. Just like I don't think you guys get all the information. The park leaks a little bit out, and then they see how it runs. We had a meeting with the Mahoney County Commissioners beginning of the week. 2 Ohio Department of Natural Resources officers were there. They answered a lot of questions. Instead of me telling you, I have their phone numbers. You could call them. I would love for you guys on your own, go over in Yellow Creek and walk with those guys. And ask them how they're going to do it. What's it, well, the cost, they haven't signed the contract yet, so the cost isn't on the paper yet. But talk to them, see how they're going to do it. See how they're going to shoot the deer, how they're going to get them out of there, how many they expect to get, and what happens if they only get 5 deer. You know, the budget is still $50,000. And I'll give you these numbers. The second number is an 800 number. You get an operator, you tell them you want Jeff Westfield.
Okay.
And then the other guy, Scott Angelo, very nice guys.
Okay.
They'll tell you what kind of guns they use, how far the bullets go. I'd rather have them tell you than me coming up here, okay? Here you go.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Rhonda,
Thank you.
when I need help, buddy, I know who I'm calling.
Anyone else?
John Speedis, 63 Lakeshore Drive, Struthers, Ohio. It's been bothering me since I've been sitting here in this council. That American flag belongs on the left side of this room. Ohio flag belongs on this side. It would offend any veteran not to see it sitting that way. According about the deer, I live on Lakeshore Drive. We do get some deer there. We take care of them ourselves. We know what we have to put on our plants to keep them away. We take care of the geese ourselves. We've learned to do that. I don't think there's 80 deer from Lowellville Road to the park in Poland. We do get a few deer around the lake, which means I'm right in the middle of it. I don't understand this, but okay. One other thing, I understand that you're going to change the ordinance on discharging firearms in the city of Struthers. Is that true?
No, we have not,
I don't know where you got that.
Okay,
passed
all
any
right.
legislation.
Because I was going to say that is not a good idea to do. Okay, thank you.
No, that's not going to change.
All right.
Is there anyone else wishing to address council? Come up and take your name now.
My name's Sue Kadurka. I'm not from Struthers. I wasn't know if I could ask a question. But I'm a little confused. I'm with the deer people. If the ordinance wasn't changed that you could hunt, then but it sounds like there's going to be a hunt. I'm confused.
Currently, we haven't changed anything.
And the hunt hasn't been
And that,
decided.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, good to know.
And
Okay.
honestly, at this point, we don't feel like, after speaking with them, we had enough information to change the law.
Okay.
So
Well, that's
we're-
good.
We're holding kind of tight where we are for the time being.
Oh, okay, good,
Yeah.
good. We're just concerned for the safety. I know I talked to the ODNR people when they were at that meeting as well, and they said they're going to enforce a 300-foot safe zone around the perimeter of the park, so after you bring 300 feet in from all around, they're not going to have much room to hunt at all. I was not real sure how that would even happen safely. So, okay, good to know. Thank you.
Currently, as of right now, we are.
Okay, okay.
My opinion, I live close to the park, and I don't see 80 deer in that park. And I feel that the people that are in charge of this deer hunt don't spend enough time in that park to make a decision like that.
Yes,
And
exactly.
they don't have the paperwork or the ability to show us that they do.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm not gonna change the law. I'm not gonna go for it.
Yeah, I don't think we should be able to change laws just because they don't fit what we want to do right now.
Good point.
But, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also, the information that we got was based off of a infrared flyover
Right.
in December, one night.
Right.
Who knows, at this point, there might be 10 deer down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for us to change a law based on that information really seems pretty weak.
That seems very reasonable and wise to me.
But we were saying that, yeah, as far as the numbers go, the representative that visited that meeting from the ODNR looked directly at Mr. Dorico and said, I gotta say, your numbers look too high.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, we're at a point where for us to change something, I think we're kind of all in agreement. They're gonna have to prove a lot more than they've already
Good.
proved.
Oh, great, very, very wise. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address council come up, please speak your name and address for the record. Anyone else?
Okay, so I'm for the deer, obviously. So, so you say they're not going to change the laws that you know of?
Well, currently, we're the governing body that would be in charge
Okay.
of changing the laws.
Okay.
And currently, the information that we have, we kind of feel is thin.
Okay.
There really isn't enough there for us to justify changing that law. I mean, anybody else, we've had this discussion.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because I did hear that the mayor, I'm not even sure what her name is it Miller?
Yes.
That she was getting tired of people calling her about deer eating their flowers, and so she was pro changing the law, and I just hope
There
to
is
God
an
that doesn't
instance,
happen.
And again, just speaking from purely a government standpoint, she could not change the law without us
Okay.
changing the law. That is, this is, and again, to earlier, this is our only power, is making or changing laws and basically approving budgets, okay? That is ours. I can't go out there and actually enforce anything because I don't have the governmental authority to do so. But in order to change that law, it would have to go through this council body. And at this point, I think we were just all in agreement that there wasn't enough information for us
Exactly, yeah,
to make that
I-
determination where we're willing to say, yes, openly discharge firearms.
Okay.
So at this point, this is kind of where we're at as a council.
Okay. Okay. My name's Elena Pirog, by the way.
Nice to
So,
meet
okay. All right.
I took the long way. I'm sorry. I took the long way around.
Anyone else who wishes to address council, you're welcome to come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
One thing, we have a meeting, the deer meeting, St. Mary's Church. It's Tuesday. It's on Belvest on the west side. Our lawyer, Mark Dan's gonna be there. Youngstown's law
This
director.
coming Tuesday, or next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, no, it's the 13th of June, I'm sorry.
June 13th.
Yeah, it's Mark Dan, our lawyer, who represents the deer people.
What time is that?
Doors open at 5:30, meetings at 6. You'll be out here by 7:30. Jeff,
And I said, where's, I'm sorry. I
St.
didn't-
Mary's, Assumption Hall on Bella Vista.
All right.
Jeff Libyan will be there, the Mahoney, Youngstown's law director. You're all invited, please come.
Thank
All
you.
right. Anyone else wish to address council? Okay, if not, just a reminder, June 7th, 6 PM is a finance meeting, committee meeting. Okay? Need a motion to adjourn this regular meeting.
Make a motion?
Josh makes a motion. Bob seconds that.
Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
He's down here.
He's not.
Yeah, down
Oh,
here.
sorry. Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood? Yes. Ms. Pinkley? Yes.
Okay, thank you all. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.